and welcome to the Berlin Automation Summit. Thank you very much to all of you for being here. Tonight I'm joined by an esteemed panel. We have Alexandra Wudel, founder, speaker, and AI researcher. For her work, she was awarded the AI Person of the Year 2024. She advises companies, individuals, and governments on how to build, deploy, and monitor AI in a responsible manner. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm also joined by Onur Tillmann. Onur and I met 6 years ago when I moved to Berlin. I joined the APX program, part of Axel Springer Plug and Play. With his support, I was able to practice my public speaking and my pitch deck creation, which led to me raising my first funds. So thank you for that. But a bit of background about you. You started off as a TV presenter. You also worked as an actor. You coached over 350 TEDx individuals to support in their pitch presentation. You had 10 years, as I said, with Axel Springer Plug and Play and APX. And yes, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for being here.
And then finally, I'm joined by the Needle co-founders, Jan and Onur. Jan has had a really amazing career. He worked at a YC company in the US called Notable. He also went on to be a YouTuber, so you may have seen some of his content online. Today, Jan is our CEO and is responsible for a lot of the growth at Needle. Joined with him is Onur. Onur started his, venture into technology at Tillmann University, studying informatics. He has gone on to work at some pretty big companies, including Siemens, Celonis, as a lead software engineer. So thank you guys for being here, and great to have you on the panel. So I hope everyone can hear me okay at the back, just checking, yeah, amazing. I wanted to start off with, I guess, the most basic question, maybe to the Needle guys. What is an automation and why are we here at the Berlin Automation Summit?
Oh yeah, hello everyone, glad to be here. It's so great to see so many of you here, really excited because I think this is a really cool topic and I think also many of you share this belief or share this kind of excitement about this topic. So I just want to say I'm very grateful that so many of you showed up today, first of all, to our event, and I'm really excited about this. In automation, basically, recently I made the joke, or I saw a meme, who would you fire first, the manager or the CEO, or the consultant? And so I thought, I think I would fire myself first. I can replace myself these days very well, actually, with different kind of automations. So an automation is basically what a human would do with manual tasks, just by putting these steps together and letting a machine do them. So yeah, that's kind of it. And I have many of these manual tasks that I automate every day.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we work in automations day in, day out, and I think testament to the Needle team, we're just 6 individuals, but we can act like a team of 50 by giving the agents so many responsibilities. Onur, maybe to you, we've heard a lot about generative AI. Could you please explain the difference between generative AI and agentic AI?
Yeah, sure. So agentic AI is like what you see more recently, and that happens because in the last 1 year, models improved so much that it can start reasoning much better than before. So if you remember a couple of years before the AI came out, you will see that like single shot tasks may be working well, but if you would give AI a long-lasting task which requires a lot of steps and reasoning, it wouldn't be doing very well. But now because like models improved so much in that regard, so if you remember 1 year ago reasoning came out, so thinking ability of the LLMs came out, that actually unlocked a lot of kind of more complicated automations. Because actually a lot of the automations they must be robust to noise, and reasoning unlocks that, and that makes them work more like an agent rather than a hard-coded script, and that's what makes agentic automations and the workflows much more useful. So that would be the difference. So generative, obviously, like a single shot, which means you would give AI a task, but you would get a quick random answer. But agentic AI can reason about its own answer, so resolve the longer-lasting tasks.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and you mentioned that there's obviously been a huge transition in the last few years. Ola, maybe to you. How has the transition been? There's been a lot of hype, there's been a lot of excitement around this space. What's really changed in your eyes?
So maybe I talk a bit about my background first so that you understand the context why I can talk about this. So as Dom just said, we met at Axel Springer Plug and Play, but I also work for a lot of large corporates. I help them with large transformation projects. So to say, I'm a human agent and I can work for a couple of months without breaking down. And
But you need to sleep.
yeah, I need to sleep, I need to eat. That's a bit the problem, but I can get rid of the equation. I will get there. So, and I think what we see right now, and I think this is also what you're doing here at Needle, is that work will change tremendously. I mean, you're a team of, how many are you?
6, yeah.
6 people, and you, and how many agents do you have?
Ooh, good question.
Good question. Unlimited.
Unlimited, yeah.
Okay, and
Maybe 100, 150, something like this. Production, like something like this, which are running, you know.
are they working currently?
We actually,
Are they up there or where are they?
They're running 24/7.
Yeah.
In fact, I think one of the reasons why this event's so popular, I know it's kind of shameful to admit it, is because we have such a powerful automation outreach methodology. So we can reach thousands of people on a weekly basis. Obviously, it can go far more personalized than what we've seen in the past. But yeah, I mean, this is part of it. We're growing. We're looking for new ways to behave like a bigger company. And yeah.
But let me get back to the question.
Yeah.
So there is the before and there is the after. So I work for companies like Lufthansa or Google or Axel Springer, and they are huge companies and they have legacy. And all their organization has built around the current technologies or the former technologies. Let it be computer technologies or cloud or whatever. And this led to the current organizational design. And after AI, we will see entirely new organizational design. I think this is also where the friction is. But to your point, I think there's before AI and after AI.
For sure. I think that highlights one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Alexandra. We talk about AI agents operating automatically, but how important is it to have an orchestrator of these systems?
Right, and I also start with my background.
Yes,
so my background is in ethical AI, so I'm seeing AI quite critical, and I think OpenClaw, who has heard about OpenClaw? Okay, great.
It's quite an advanced audience.
Yes, I was expecting this actually. And I know that many people are sitting here in the audience having very niche knowledge about fields that we might not cover here, but a very important point is also seeing the risks or understanding what a key performance metrics of a good agent look like. And what I see in practice is that, and that's okay, right? We start with our AI journey as people using AI. Oh, what's an agent? So we start to define a job to be done that we can then automate. But as this continues and grows over an organization, and if that's not orchestrated in the correct way, it can get very messy and also dangerous, not only in terms of reputation, but also if you, and that's an OpenClaw example, see financial data being managed by bots that talk and work to each other without any oversight, that might get very difficult. And nevertheless, we see that in China currently, OpenClaw is deployed very rapidly, without any oversight, without any orchestration. And from a European perspective, I think that's not the standard we want to pursue.
Very interesting. I wanted to touch a little bit on humans in the loop, because obviously building an automation requires, the automation to do a lot of things for you. But I wanted to highlight that it's still very much important for people to be involved. One of my favorite nodes at Needle is the human in the loop. I think as someone non-technical, and when you talk about these risks, it can be quite daunting to publish an automation. But having that human in the loop adds so much value. Maybe you could touch on how you incorporate human in the loop in your models.
So we even call it human in the meaning, because it puts the emphasis and the decision-making process more back towards the human side. And that's important because somewhere we need to define, and that's what my company is doing, defining the ethical metrics of what is still okay. Like, how much do we allow agents to be to make decisions themselves, but where is the border of a human view on agents that we don't want to cross? And human in the meaning means that when you ask the question about who is responsible for this, it needs to be a human in the end, because otherwise we get into a very difficult legal framework. And before I started my own AI startup, I've worked for the German Parliament and the EU, and we do have a KI-Verordnung, the EU AI Act. Who has heard about the EU AI Act before? Less people than Moldbot, and that's a problem. Check it out, it's already, some articles are already binding. But there is no enforcement. So we don't have an AI police yet. So what we see is that on the one hand, there is a movement on the street on Sunday for digital human rights. There was a deepfake of Colleen Fernandez. Maybe a few of you have heard about this. What we don't want as a society at the one hand, but on the other hand, you see organizations automating everything because we have a pace here and we are, as you have said, under pressure to also renovate our business model because the competition might do the same thing, so we might be out of the story soon. But we need to do this as responsibly as possible, and the human in the loop or human in the meaning concept means that when you start your AI strategy, you definitely think about responsibility and which decisions will never be outsourced to an agent. And especially, this is also defined by the law, HR decisions, for instance. When we work in insurance, crediting, when we work in medtech, definitely there's a different need for a human in the loop or human in the meaning context than if we automate the invoice process.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it's definitely like a legal minefield out there, and it's amazing that there are resources like Alexandra that can help you navigate these very complex frameworks, I guess. Maybe being a bit humble now, has anyone on the panel had an experience with an automation that has gone terribly wrong? I think it's, Jan, maybe?
Yeah. I did something illegal.
Okay.
I built a bot that is trading on Polymarket and does arbitrage trading. So I check the sports bets, check marks from bet 365 and so on. And normally the casino always wins, the house always wins. But on Polymarket it's peer-to-peer trading. So I thought if I could find these arbitrage gaps and just trade fast enough in an interval trading of, like, say, every minute I scrape the recent changes, if I could do that. So I tried to build that, and I built it like just over a few hours. I kind of vibe coded that a bit, and then vibe automated also was needed. That was really cool. And then there was a matchmaking issue, so my bot deployed $200 to bet on Mallorca against Osasuna that Mallorca is going to win 3-0. Exactly 3-0. And never happened. Unfortunately, because I checked the result, it was 2-0 in the 17th minute. And if I would have won 20k payout, so then unfortunately it went 2-2, so that was $200 on a Saturday afternoon.
To be honest, I think it's not a bad story. It's actually quite intelligent from the agent there to get so close to 3-0, but only 2-0.
But it was an issue in the code. Actually, the agent did not follow the right prompt, so it would, there was an issue.
We've spoken a little bit about Needle there, and we mentioned the term vibe automation. Onur, maybe you could give us an insight into what vibe automation is, and maybe how Needle differs to platforms like Zapier.
Thanks for asking that. So here our vision is like, we want to delegate as much as possible to AI, because that's what agentic AI is about, right? We don't really want to make a connection, we don't want to write code unless, so the trivial kind of code, unless it's like a real IP stuff. And that's how we built the Needle, actually. So the vibe automation is like a little cousin of vibe coding. It's part of it is actually vibe coding, because in your automation, there's always a piece of code living. But it's also touching to different kind of data sources and reading data from somewhere and writing data somewhere else. This is like kind of a definition of what automations are doing, right? And here our goal is that, the vision is that this should be easy. So if you have AI, it will be ridiculous that we have to do it manually, like from scratch, like it was 2023. So that's why we built a web automation platform, and yeah, we have a built-in agent in our platform, and it can read like what you are trying to automate, and it can read, so it can program, it can write code, and it can read, iterate over the automation and see if it's actually working or not. And this is what we define as web automation.
Thank you for that. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. In my opinion, it really breaks down barriers for, as I said, I was non-technical. So joining an AI startup, and the premise now that I can build really powerful automations without having to code, yeah, opens a whole world of possibilities. Ola, before this talk tonight, we had a little chat, and you were talking about how you're starting to walk and code at the same time.
Yes.
And actually, maybe we could do a little survey once you've explained what it is.
Oh yes.
Who might be interested in this?
Maybe we could do an event together.
Exactly.
So my latest habit, which I developed since I have OpenClaw, and I started quite early with it, and I have it running on my Mac Mini at home, and now I figured how to get into the terminal from my iPhone. And now I have access to Claude Code in the terminal on my Mac Mini. And really, I go to work, wherever that is, and I code all the time. And it's really fun, because you walk, you kind of miss the street lights, the street signs, but it's I mean, yeah, it's not the way I want to die, but it's really great fun, and it's so productive at the same time. So whoever would want to join me for a walk and code, or code and walk, please just let me know afterwards, and then we can do that.
Amazing. Yeah, if anyone's interested, hit all it up. We joked that it's sort of like a founders run club, but instead code and walking. So,
Code and walking.
yeah.
Maybe next Needle event, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. No, really, let's do it. I don't know about the social aspect of it, because is it possible to code, walk, and talk at the same time, or is it just very nerdy?
I think it's a new way of thinking. So, yeah.
I think we need a new law about that. New law about
Yes, actually a new law maybe.
Yeah, let's
Right,
make
sit next to you.
I actually want to come back to the original idea of AI, which is we work less,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Coming back to human connection again.
Yeah, so I don't think that AI makes us work less, to be honest.
I agree.
I think it makes, so at least me, it makes work way more.
Yeah.
So I can find myself on a Sunday morning on a very romantic trip with my wife to Paris, where I get up at 5 in the morning and then sneak into the bathroom to debug my OpenClaw. So it really happens.
Yeah, I think Onur, you had quite a
It's to be
busy.
a programmer. I see you discovered that.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Onur, I think you had a Valentine's Day which was spent building automations as well. So,
Yeah, actually. That's very in my mind, and you know, I had a bit of a difficult time actually.
What do you want me to say now?
So,
It's super romantic. Maybe we should marry.
I guess I'm single.
a few beers afterwards.
Our
I mean,
agents,
that
our
would be
agents
good.
can
That
do
would
it.
be a good press statement, I think.
Actually, interesting you bring this up. I forget the name of the platform, but there's now a social media platform where agents interact with agents.
Yes.
Yeah, completely.
Moldbook.
Moldbook, so yeah. Do you see that as a distraction maybe from human to human interactions, or do you think that that's maybe like a gimmick kind of technology?
I'm not surprised at all about what is currently happening, because we have foreseen this, and some people talk about we have reached AGI, some people are still skeptical. Does it really matter? I don't know. But yes, we will live in different and also constantly at the same time happening realities, and that there is a virtual reality where also agents that we perceive as co-workers have kind of a social life. I think that's not Black Mirror anymore. That's very much reality. I just ask the question, like, why? Right? Because this is consuming so much energy. And why do we really need that?
Just because it's possible, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Meta just acquired Wudel, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
So they have now Facebook for agents.
But yeah, I want to make a point here. I have an hypothesis. I think that gatherings like this today, they will increase in value massively in terms of AI, because people are craving for human-to-human interaction. I mean, we could have all sent our bots here, and then they could hold this discussion for us, but we don't. We decide to walk here. And if there's one thing which is great about COVID, is that it forced us to think about conferences as purely digital events. And we figured out it's just not fun, it doesn't work. And then after COVID, the first thing that happened was people met again. So I think you cannot replace human-to-human interaction.
No.
But whilst on the other side, I think the human most likely will go out of a lot of agentic workflows, because we are the last bottleneck. I mean, how often do I take screenshots from what I have to debug and then upload it into Claude code again and then back and forth? And if the machine could do that without me, it would be way faster.
Yeah, and also touching to your point, I would like to say, sure, Mockbook exists, but if you realize a lot of people are actually claiming their bots there, and as soon as you claim a bot, it becomes a bit of human, so it's touching to a human perspective. I actually found that it was a very interesting idea that when Mockbook came out, I was like reading it a little bit, but then I didn't stay very long because I was more interested actually reading human content rather than bot content. So it's actually, from that perspective, bots talking to each other may be interesting for them, but not so much for humans. And that also spends a lot of energy. You're right about it. And I think here, like, we are going into a future where like human identity is becoming more and more valuable because of that. And instead of that, AI role here is more about executing the boring stuff, which humans don't want to touch so much actually instead.
And there's always a trend and an anti-trend. What we see is that, for instance, communities are very requested. I mean, we're all here, as you've said, because we want to have this human interaction, which will never be replaced by agents. I'm just challenging that the whole idea of AI was that we work less and do more of this. But what we all do is we work more, and then there's 1 hour a day where we come together and are like, oh yeah, actually human connection is nice. But everybody's on a dating app and nobody has a match, and it's like everybody's lonely, right? I have a great match. But what I want to say is that often I see technology is implemented without requesting the purpose of the system. And this goes back also to the orchestration of an agentic system. In the beginning, the strategy is super important. Also, when you transform big organizations, this will be a big transformation. And I'd like to have this a little bit more human-driven. So we also think about, okay, this should make us happier.
I mean, if we look at organizational design, for example, then AI will have a massive impact. And the question is whether we build the new organization around the human or we build it around the technology. If you look at the design of cities, for example, if you take Florence, a beautiful city built around human capabilities, so you can walk the entire city. Then you look at the city like Los Angeles, built around a human within a technology, a car. And all of a sudden, this city can only be used with a car. If you want to walk through Los Angeles, it doesn't work. So the question is really, what kind of organizations do we want to have? What kind of society do we want to have? I think the opportunities are massive, but as you said, we need to discuss them right now, because it will go so incredibly fast,
yes,
and our institutions are completely overwhelmed, because human decision-making is the weak link in the entire system. Formulating a will as a group in a democratic society takes time, and AI just rolls over us. But the human will always be the bottleneck, for sure. And I think politicians did not really get that.
Or the gatekeeper, maybe not the bottleneck.
I think, I don't know.
Maybe if I ask each of you, what are your predictions in terms of what a high-performance team looks like in the future? What kind of individuals, what kind of positions, maybe what kind of agents?
Yeah, I have an answer.
Yeah.
I probably, many of you recently saw some posts like this. Oh, I'm just training too much on Twitter and LinkedIn. Disable Claude and your API key, and if the persona doesn't write you with 1 hour that Claude is down, fire this person. It's because it's kind of forcing everybody to leverage their time as much as possible using agents. And I do believe very much in that. I could never do my job. I'm maybe already in Los Angeles in that regard. I could not work anymore if I wouldn't have these automations. I would need like, I don't know, 5 interns, I guess, who help me out every day. So, yeah. So I think I'm already at that point, and I think I see that everybody's going to have several agents of tasks that they normally do manually, and at least as you realize this is a repetitive task, I could automate this, I'm going to automate this, and I think everybody's going to do that in the future, and everybody's going to have several small mini variations or mini automations of themselves doing stuff for them.
It's a little bit like I see, for instance, before the computers, we also worked and we use different tools, maybe papers and writing down with the pen and paper. But then computers came and we kind of had a new layer of abstraction where we were way more efficient than before. And I see like a similar kind of transformation, and now not using AI is just basically lagging it behind, right? So using that effectively is just, we level up in that sense. So that's a key component.
Alexandra, your prediction?
My prediction is that the earlier you start your own AI journey, the better, and don't be scared of people already being very skilled, because this can go very fast. And as you said, just 4 months ago you joined this AI startup, and now you're moderating this panel, right? Yeah.
I'm just scared. And I don't know what any of this means.
And you were nervous before, but now you're here.
I'm all good, yeah.
No, what I want to say is that prior to my work at the German Parliament, I have published a research paper on how AI influences our society. And we see that a few people, normally the privileged, also more the white, also more men than women, use AI very early, and we are excited about that and use it more and more and more and optimize ourselves. And that's great for value creation and capitalism. And I'm part of this group, so I'm on the side of people profiting from that journey, but also the majority is not there yet. And from a societal perspective, I think that everyone will start their AI journey at a different age step. And it is very interesting to see how much we learn about the society just the way they prompt. Like, the most requested area of prompts is social and emotional support. 33 questions, 33% according to the Harvard Business report last year, were just in the area of emotions. And I think that's also the interesting part if we review what the agents do in social media, because maybe we can learn how to make social media social, right? Because obviously we don't manage that. And my prediction is that we find a way where society and AI interacts and supports each other. Because the idea of AI, if you also read the biography of Sam Altman, it is like, it's big, it's good, but if you manage this not with ethical guardrails or with also society in mind, I think it can be also very dangerous for most of us. So my key takeaway would be like, everyone needs to start with this as early as possible.
I agree, 100%. And I think the #1 character trait nowadays is curiosity. And I mean deep, like hyper curiosity. And then just go and work with that stuff as much as you can. I mean, we have a technology at hand which has the building plan already delivered, but it will only answer what we ask it. And now everyone who is curious who has the time, who has the money, I have to be honest about that, and the access to compute is in a very good position. And I think that this revolution should not be missed by anyone because the leverage is going to be exponential. So once we have a system at hand that will help us to leverage the power of Needle, for example, and I can't wait to give my open claw access to Needle and then see what my bot is going to do with their bots, is going to be super powerful. Or with your bots, yours is well known.
Yes, yeah.
And this is going to be super powerful. And thereby I do not only have, let's say, a 2x or 3x improvement of my productivity, but maybe all of a sudden a 150x productivity gain. And then another thing becomes very interesting, because I think that AI is going to support behavior as much as it is going to support non-behavior. What do I mean by that? If I have a clear vision, if I have a clear strategy, if I can turn that into a plan, if I really take action, AI is to 150x everything I want to achieve. If I don't have a vision, if I don't have a plan, if I don't know how to execute with AI, the contrast to those who can and who have a clear vision is going to be huge. And therefore I think, get your hands and any tool which is there, understand all the large language models. I have them competing against each other. So my Gemini competes against my ChatGPT, against my Claude, and they all challenge each other. And yeah, I talk very long now.
You're not using LangDog?
No, not yet. I should also put that into my software stack.
LangDog. Berlin startup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mistral, yeah. Yeah, Mistral was actually the first open model which I downloaded through Olama to OpenClaw. But it was a bit, I like it, and I like also the idea of a European LLM, and I would support Mistral as much as I can. It's just the others outperform it currently. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Long
No,
answer.
really, really appreciate it. And I like that you highlight curiosity. I think that's a skill that we can all work on, and there's no harm in being ever more curious. With automations, I feel like there's two ways you can navigate having automations embedded into your company. One, you can go away and learn, which is what I would recommend. The alternative is what we've seen, a huge rise in agencies building automations for clients. Maybe Jan and Onur, what is your take on this? Do you have a vision of allowing everyone to build automations? Or would you encourage people to leverage people that are experts maybe in this space?
I mean, the fact that we are building vibe automation indicates actually other way around, which means you need to decide when you need the automation or not and go build it yourself. And because building became much easier than before, and that's what our vision is about, and we are implementing that and making it a reality. So it's all about yourself actually. So rather than outsourcing, I encourage everybody to become a builder because that's where we are going. So obviously there's a fine line when deciding what to automate and when to automate. Probably what you think deserves an automation may not be the case, and you need to identify what actually can give you a benefit or not. Because a lot of the time we can be delusional about it. So some of the things yes, but some of the other things not, because a lot of the other tasks we have actually need one-time, one-off tasks. And this can be automated, this can be delegated to AI agents, for instance, like OpenClaw, for example. But you will also realize that actually some of the things are repeating, and if you see a repeating pattern, that then it's a signal that you actually need to put this on a regular basis, so which is the automation scenario. So you actually responsibility is on you to identify what is the right course of action here.
I want to add something to that. I think, yeah, it's, what we also see is, ideally everybody is a builder and everybody builds, but some people just don't want to build. Like, some people are reluctant to it. They say, I don't want to build, here I throw money at this problem, solve it for me. So I also do believe that there is still a space, or there's a big space in the future for exactly these kind of persons who want to automate things, but actually don't want to build themselves because they are just maybe not curious enough, or they just don't maybe have enough time, because building also takes a bit of time from you in the end. And so in the end, like you wake up at 5 a.m. and you still need to maintain an agent, you know, over time. So maintaining it also is part of the equation. So I do believe that there is also, and which we're seeing it right now, is there's a gold rush, right? There's a gold rush time, like back then in California, of people who build automations for different clients, and using different kind of tools to ship automation tools. And these agencies who build these automations for these clients, and these clients who are actually kind of not very interested in building themselves, they're in a way exploiting the knowledge that they are having, that they can build these automations, but the other person doesn't know yet that it's that easy to build automations. So they're in a way also exploiting this knowledge advantage and may charge an extra fee, which is in the end not so much work, but in the end it's not so much about how much time does it take you to build this. The customer in the end just cares about how much fucking value do I get out of here? How much time does it save me? How many new leads do I close because of this automation? If this automation brings me 1 million more ARR, I'm very happy to pay 20 to 50K for this, but I don't care if you build this in a day or 5 days in the end, you know? So that's kind of like where these days I think also this knowledge gap, if you have knowledge about what you can automate and you have like a creative way, I say it's a bit like Lego. I always say Needle is a bit like Lego, you build bricks and you build an automation. If you have this knowledge and you know how to build a super cool Lego set, and then you can make this Lego set popular, that other people buy it, then you're making it big. So I do not think it's just about that everybody wants to build that, some people don't want, and they will exploit this kind of knowledge advantage they have. Yeah.
Maybe just going a bit deeper into your point there, could you highlight which industries or which kind of businesses are in highest demand right now for AI in general, but also automations?
Yeah, what I'm seeing, I mean, from our clients and from the users we are talking to and so on, I see like the companies that care most about speed and sometimes maybe less about the security aspect. So you can think like pharma and healthcare are relatively slow because they also depend a lot of times on old systems. So let's say, maybe what Ole said, also very good, we build all of this infrastructure right now about systems. Let's say I'm a company which is 100 years old. I'm running on, maybe, I worked once in Switzerland, Zurich, in the hospital of Switzerland, of Zurich, Unispital Zurich, and I worked with an ERP system that they built in-house 1990. Now, yeah, does this have an MCP endpoint? No. So make the agent run on the system will become very hard, and I think also this is a business opportunity for new startups. If you can build a connector for legacy systems, I'm throwing it into the round. If you want to raise a round, then maybe pitch that to investors. I think it could be an interesting idea. It has potential for the market, so these companies also lag behind because their systems are lagging behind. And so if you're using more modern kind of infrastructure, which maybe for example an MCP endpoint is available, like Airtable maybe for example, or maybe Slack, then you are also easier to adapt new AI technologies, for example with needed workflows, and then you also again catch more speed. So in the end it's like, if you have an advantage already now, your advantage is going to be bigger, and I think some of the industries may fall behind even more. So I think the gap is becoming bigger in the future.
I would like to add one point to what you just said with the MCP for the legacy company. I think one thing that we're going to see is that a lot of humans are going to struggle to keep up with what is happening, because the MCP for the legacy system is maybe one thing, but there are humans working in these companies and they don't have a clue about what is happening currently. So I think as much as this is a technology transition, it is a human resources transition. And it's not as easy as we claim it, right? So I just said, yeah, you have to be curious, you have to focus and so on. Yeah, but for some people, they work from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 in a company. They don't earn that much money. They don't get a further education budget to further develop their skills. And for them, it's super hard to catch up with what is happening. They don't have the time, they don't have the money. And this is something that we have to deal with, because the technological layer will accelerate, but the humans have to somewhat keep up with it, and I don't have an answer how that should work.
Well, but your solution is kind of also closing the gap between tech and non-tech people, because it makes things more accessible than it was before. And right, you wouldn't have an UI or UX if you wouldn't focus on users using something that they couldn't do without, right?
I actually think opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think actually that UI and UX is becoming more for agents in the future also.
An API call.
Yeah, an XMP call. Like,
What
let's say, for
XMP call?
example, like you see, maybe I'm hanging again too much on Twitter again, but you see AutoCAD. I'm studying mechanical engineering in my bachelor's and computer science in my master's. In my bachelor's, I had to, I studied at technical university, so I had to deploy like a car, very German, in AutoCAD. And I saw on Twitter, somebody just gave kind of the AutoCAD to an agent and made the agent build kind of with this tool. So the agent decided to use the tool. And in the end, I think it's the agent which will use just the tool to do stuff. And you think, oh, I want to develop a car in AutoCAD, and it will develop it for you. And I think that's kind of the take. So I think in the future it will be more like this.
Sorry, Onur, you want to say
Easy,
something?
go.
Also, like, I think we need to notice that we are going through a transition period where like UI UX is simplifying, and it becomes more and more of a chat and less of a buttons, right? And I think we're in a transition period where like we interact a lot with agents so that they can do things for us, but that's only right now. What comes next after that, maybe 5 years later, is difficult to predict, but I would not be very surprised if actually it all goes agent to agent, and the agents communicate with each other through the APIs or whatever networking procedures, and we become even more factored out of the equation here, and we become more maybe just communication method, and UI UX will be just sound, right? You can just talk to the agents, and we just see things getting done.
Yeah.
That would be the new UX. But I think we still have probably at least a few years. I just think that right now we are in a transition period.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, for example, this code and walk idea is only possible because of so many technologies emerging at the same time, changing entirely the interface. So I can now talk with Whisperflow to my terminal at home at my Mac Mini, and it makes sense out of everything that I say there, and it works. So it's only possible because of that. But I think I totally agree. I think the interfaces, they might go away at the end, because they're only built for our visual cortex. But the human brain is very less capable in transferring information than these AI systems. And also already currently they are so powerful, and I think we are trying to drill a hole to get more out of the AI intelligence, which is already there, but just because it's only a small hole that we drill at the moment, we only get so little out of it. I think they're already way more capable, and the human sensory system is the bottleneck. And then it shifts away from, sorry, one last thought. It shifts away from now visual or typing to voice, just because it's faster.
I agree, but you only focus on the people already using AI. And the big fish or the big gap here is, how do you reach the people not being as agentic as you expect them to be right now?
No, I don't want to lose them. I think it's
always only, because if you think about the majority of society right now and also in the next 10 years, you expect people to adopt AI on the same speed as we develop technology, but that's not the case.
No.
And if you just focus this on agents, you design the UX for people using agents, you also minimize your potential total market a lot. And I think that that's the strategic thought I was speaking about in the beginning. Yes, we can do that, but let's think bigger, like what's the main goal? And that could be also a strategic direction maybe you experience after a few months, because you want to reach the bigger gap or like the bigger market, because many platforms use the same agentic strategy like you do, so you are replaceable. So what makes your business model unique?
You see our business model right now? Okay, yeah, okay, I'm getting fronted here in front of the society.
Sorry, that was maybe
Your
too
pitch.
direct. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, our business model...
I'm just challenging the agent to agent to agent to agent.
I mean, we are not like agent to agent to agent to agent. We are still having the human in the loop. As I said, the human is deciding in the end what Lego bricks they want to build, you know, what Lego set they want to build. So it's in the end the creativity of the human being, which is the limitation factor. But in the end, the human will talk to an agent and tell to the agent what it wants to get achieved. But then it's the agent talking to the agent talking to the agent to achieve that. That's what I mean.
Maybe
They become friends.
Maybe we need the moderator here.
maybe on the business model, we've seen a lot of startups raise a lot of money in this space, and we are also very aware that usage limits are sometimes given for free. A lot of tokens are being used as well. Going into the longevity of this business or this industry, how do you tackle companies burning cash to get users now and then somehow becoming profitable in the future?
Yeah, oh, it's a great question, though. I think it's a...
As head of growth, I should know this, but I'll ask you.
I mean, it's a problem many startups have, and I mean, we are not profitable, I can say that. We are growing, and we are growing very, very fast, and that's what many of these AI startups these days try to achieve. I mean, you have OpenAI, which is maybe the biggest guy, raised, what did they raise, 130 billion, right? 120 billion? Is it 120 or 130 billion or something like that? Anyway, they raised this a month ago, and they are not like profitable yet. And so basically we all, and Anthropic raised 30 billion, and all of us AI players also depend on them again. So yes, I mean, I'm very bullish on this market. I'm not bearish on this market, because I do see that I think nobody of us could live anymore without any fucking of these tools. I couldn't handle my life. What do I write my mother to her birthday? ChatGPT, please tell me. No, I'm just kidding. But so behind every joke there's some truth, right? So I think because of that, because it's so adapted, it just cannot fail anymore. It's too big to fail now, and I think it's like going to be adapted and going to go forward like this. Because if this fails, I think we have the biggest recession ever of human society, and I just think it doesn't fail because it's so useful.
Oh no, I know this morning we had a look at our, I think it was Opus spend, and it was quite high. And your task of the day was to become more efficient. Is there, I guess, like a North Star? Is there like a cloud with a silver lining future state where these models and these platforms can run efficiently and cost effectively?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies nowadays are trying to achieve that, because this is also difficult. You can design systems like using AI, but not in the efficient way. It could work, but you would realize that it's actually burning a lot of tokens. If you would run an OpenClaw on your Mac Mini, you may realize after a walk, maybe you have actually a lot of burned tokens, and maybe you haven't got so much done. So this is actually a very important topic to pay attention to. Otherwise, you always have to get the return of investment, right? But we are early in this technology, so a lot of companies are experimenting and seeing the results. And because there is also so much demand, companies are competing and trying to make their offers more attractive. That also, influences obviously the profitability, as Jan mentioned. But because it's so useful, it's just natural that there is so much demand. And I also think that this is like a transition period. Eventually, we'll go to like a future where we are using these tokens more efficiently in terms of energy as well, because every token also corresponds to some kind of energy, and it's not doing very well to the nature. But yeah, eventually we will be achieving that, but I think that needs to settle a little bit, because there is right now a lot of noise in the market. A lot of companies get funding and claim a lot of things, but after a while I think there will be only certain winners which also know how to optimize this kind of token usage and energy usage. And as a result, we will have more efficient systems.
I have one story from a user perspective. So token usage, I totally get. So at the beginning with OpenClaw, I used my OAuth to get it running. That was fun, but then they canceled it, and then I had to use just a regular API, and that was getting very, very expensive. And then I was always using, as my first model, I was using Opus 4.6. And it was really quite fun to talk to it. It was really nice and super well educated and helpful. But then I realized, whoa, it's also very, very expensive. And then I downgraded to Sonnet and 4.6. And I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. And I really felt, and this goes to your point, I really felt like an addict who has to go to methadone now instead of heroin. No, really. And I realized, oh shit, you can get addicted to intelligence. And then I upgraded to Opus again. It was really just more useful. And I think...
same, I have the same.
You have the same?
Therapy together.
Yeah, let's do it together.
I think that's also a good therapy.
Yeah. So, but it is happening, and to make a business out of this is going to be interesting.
I think that's the business of AI, that you
They
lose your critical thinking.
Yes.
I mean, we've noticed this.
No, I don't lose my... Would you say that AI supports...
I don't say that, studies say that.
About me?
Yes. No, about the society. I cannot judge about you.
No,
but
okay.
like in general, what we see is that AI has a very negative effect on the brain, and to compensate that for long-term health, you need to be longer in the nature. You need to start handwriting again, and there are a few things you should take care of if you use AI heavily, because your brain structure, the neural networks change. That's what humans do, right? We evolve, but of course the systems, and that's fair, but they want you to rely on them, and there is just this thing where you lose your critical thinking, not only when interacting with AI, but also in general.
Yeah.
Do you feel that AI can actually lead to significant health problems in the sense of, we talk about it becoming more efficient, but actually can it incur more workload on you?
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of challenging here, because the whole idea of automation should be that, for me personally, maybe that's also kind of a political, ethical thing. One, of course, better performance resulting in happier clients and then more money. And secondly, better sleep, more health. Like, I want to feel better. And it would be nice if both could correlate. Like, the more AI I use, the happier my clients are, the more I earn, the more time I have to spend the money in good ways, healthy ways. And that brings me back to the strategy part. But what we see currently, and I'm part of that, right? So I'm using AI a lot. I see that curiosity. I see that, oh, my English is very bad because I'm translating everything with AI. Now we have agentic systems, and this is different. But when I was speaking to LLMs, I realized some of my skills got lost.
Which ones?
For instance, my grammar, my English language, because before I was writing texts.
I agree with that. I was learning German for the last 2 years. And
Did you go
one of the ways I learned best was receiving emails in German.
Yeah.
And when Google Mail sort of adapted and gave you the feature to translate to English within Gmail, I noticed I was going to that immediately and not even trying to comprehend what was going on in German.
It's so easy. Yeah.
So there's a lot of easiness in the world nowadays.
Yeah.
And I met a few students here earlier today, and I feel like for them it's probably the most daunting. You're about to enter your careers, you're thinking about what industry you want to work in, and we're constantly being told that maybe you don't need to be so skillful in things. Maybe you need to be adaptable, learn how to manage different parts of your life or different functions within an organization. And maybe that's quite a sad reality, because we don't get maybe historians that focus on one chapter of history anymore, because why would you invest 10 years of your life to become an expert in one thing? Maybe your take on this, Wudel. Adaptability or specificity?
No. I think adaptability is super important. I think specificity is also important. So you could do both. In terms of losing skills, Yeah, of course, you don't want to outsource everything to an LLM. I mean, the way you do not get fitter whilst taking a car instead of jogging, right? So in learning theory, the idea is that learning always involves productive struggle. So your brain needs to really work through things, and you must feel the insecurity of not knowing what you're working through. And your brain signals learning with a purpose negatively. It makes it hard by purpose because learning requires brain change at the end, neuroplasticity. But the brain doesn't want to be changed by every impulse, and this is why it markers learning as, oh, this is really effortful. But if you push through this productive struggle, this is where you get to a new insight. And of course, we don't want AI to take this away from us. I give you an example. I write a newsletter on AI. And I thought it's super nice to have all the scrapers scraping Twitter, all the newsletters and so on, and then I get the well-automated workflow and the newsletter writes itself. Let me tell you one thing, it doesn't. It doesn't. I have to do all the writing. It didn't get less hours, it was more hours, but the result is also way better. And if you force yourself to do all the work together with an LLM, the results are amazing, and I couldn't imagine to live without. The risk is only if you outsource your thinking to an LLM, that's stupid. And to your point, I think that generalism is really the key trait. So being super curious and being a generalist. And then you can deep dive into every rabbit hole that you would want to using the AI. I mean, I have been in so many rabbit holes in the last weeks and months, and I've been really deep, and there was another question and another very insightful answer, which led to another question and another, and it didn't end.
You were hallucinating, or?
Sorry?
You were hallucinating at some point, or?
No, but I had a huge brain fry. Brain fry, I would say, and I can give you, have a great indicator. I love tennis, and I founded a tennis club. And I play very regularly, and tennis is a highly demanding sport, mentally and physically. So if you are on the court, you really have to have a lot of buffer mentally to perform well if you play against a good player. And all my mental power has been pulled away or consumed by AI. So I never played as bad as I played my last matches. And it was, I told my friends, my friends all told me, you played like shit. And I said, yeah, that's true, thank you very much, and I felt like it. And it is because of that. So yes, to your point, so cognitive load is very high, but, and here's last thought to that, I think metacognition matters a lot. So the capability of thinking about your thinking. And where do you apply your own intelligence? And you must become your own orchestrator, your own, so you must use your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that allows you to manage your impulses. And this is very, very consuming, energy consuming in times of AI. But it's more necessary than ever. And it's like with fire. If you take fire without control, it burns your house. If you take fire, you put it into a motor under control, it gives you fantastic power.
I really like that. I'm also very jealous that you're a tennis player, just on the subject.
Not a good one, but
no, you're one, but
passion beats talent.
Tennis is one of the best sports for your cognitive state and fighting things like dementia. So let's have a game one day, maybe.
We should.
I'd be down, yeah. Alexandra, your thoughts on specificity or being a specialist versus being a generalist?
AI allows us to do the things we're really good at because we can outsource the things we don't like. That would be my answer to this. And I think I spent the last week in Morocco at a surf camp, and I met many young people, like 20-ish. And talking to them was shocking because they have this anxiety about the future and don't know what to study. Like, should I focus on something specific or more generalistic? And I think you can nowadays actually pitch your job to companies if you're good at AI and help them do the transformation. And I would not go into like be generalistic or like do this, but how about we do what we really like and can outsource the things we're not the best at in automating them. This is how I see automation, like do the things you're really good at the majority of your time. It takes 10,000 hours to be excellent at something. And how about we can build this excellence, and that can be a general excellence or excellence in a specific field. Personally, I think personal branding is very important in the future, and personal connection and network. That matters, like knowing people will matter more than having a skill.
Very interesting you say that.
Or being on social media during a talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so many Twitter posts recently that say the art of starting a business is now 99% distribution. Skills are accessible to everyone,
Yeah.
and having that network and having that, I guess, interpersonal skill set is really where people are going to stand out. Onur, maybe from your side, you've obviously developed yourself to be technical and very advanced in this space. Do you feel, I mean, we actually had a session the other day where you said, I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm no longer as good as the code that's being generated for me. Is that a bitter pill to swallow, or is it, something that you're quite excited about?
Yeah, I learned how to swallow that. So that's okay. Yeah, I think on a micro level, that's correct, because, I used to be more of an executioner, so to say, and I was really good at it. I mean, I'm still good at it, but in a different abstraction level, because I no longer write code like line by line codes, so I kind of use more AI to delegate that. But yeah, I think like sometimes people do ask me like, you guys are building Needle, is it a platform I can vibe code? Did you guys vibe code this yourself? And the short answer would be no, because just because that we get more complex tools doesn't mean that we are no longer needed, but we also started building more complex tools as well. So maybe in 5 years, just by vibe coding, you would be able to build a product like Needle. That could be possible. But 5 years later, when that's possible, you probably want to build something more sophisticated than Needle meeting humans' needs. So in that regard, like, I see that all the time we need to be present with our creativity, like as humans. We need to be present with our creativity and sort of critical thinking, because if you go to AI and ask, like if you have a feeling that, I'm not so sure about this idea, let me get AI's opinion, a few options on this topic, it's always going to give you a few options. But if you never challenge them, actually you realize that many of these are actually suboptimal. So because AI also has its limitations. And it will always be the case no matter how much it improves. Because there is no upper bound in that regard. So in that sense, I think that it's actually really dangerous to sort of fully rely on AI and sort of, I find it very risky actually not to challenge AI's ideas, because I find myself frequently in situations where I'm challenging the idea that comes from the LLM, and I end up going in a better direction, which would not be possible if I didn't do so. So in that regard, I see it as another tool and not like the ultimate AGI which can guide how I should do things. It's just another tool. That's how I see it.
Economists currently say that the value creation gets away from execution of a task to the verification of the quality of the output. For example, I spoke to a couple of lawyers the other day who are approached by their clients with the first draft of a contract, obviously made by ChatGPT. And then they're asked to verify the quality, and they said they're super annoyed by it because then they have to rewrite everything again. The same, I guess, for software engineers. You have to verify the quality of it, but to verify the quality of it, you have to have experience and you have to have deep knowledge about your domain. And this is a problem for young people currently because the talent pipeline is eroding, because these tasks, manual tasks that would give you experience through repetition, they are gone now because they're delegated to the AI. And this is a real big problem, because who will be in the future the senior who can verify the quality of the content? So juniors have to become seniors very soon, and there's already a term for it. It's junior, senior. So you would take AI and you would jump over the pipeline to develop skills that could compete with senior skills.
I think, yeah, we touched earlier on, a lot of these tasks that interns used to do are now obsolete. Maybe just as we almost wrap up, by the way, I spoke to a marketer at my last job who was in his 60s, and I asked him, are you excited that your career is ending, given the rise of AI? Or would you rather, be a few years behind this stage and adopt this new technology? His immediate answer was, I can't fucking wait to be done with this. This new technology was coming in that was making his previous job of going to production sites, traveling around the world, filming analog, was all now obsolete. My question is, if you were 18 years old, say, and you were starting out in your career now, knowing full well that jobs that interns used to have, maybe the ones that we benefited from when we were starting out in our careers, knowing that those are not necessarily relevant anymore, would you take being 18 years old today, or would you rather be the age you are now?
You ask me?
Yeah.
I have two 18-year-old daughters.
Okay, yeah, that's a good...
That's a good so
test.
I have the bridge. My daughter Marie-Louise and Charlotte, they're both going to study this year. And the question is, what do you study at this age? And Marie-Louise is going to study PPLE, which is philosophy, politics, law, and economics. And I think this is a great choice because the humanities, they will be more and more important. If you look at Anthropic, who do they hire? They hire people with the humanities background. They even have a philosopher supporting them. And I guess a big reason why we enjoy collaborating with Oppo so much is because it has this weirdness, this human weirdness baked within. So my other daughter, Charlotte, she studies business with international relations. And I think they have a really, really interesting time to be 18, but they need to get their hands on AI and work. And because they will be competing against other students who use AI as much as you could do it.
Yeah.
And so they will compete against them if they want or not. And I think this is the reality for everyone. So being 44 at this time is just exciting because I still had a regular paper, I had here Kassetten, I had floppy disk, like 3,5 megabyte disk, or even 1.2 whatever it was. I had all of this, and I saw this. The first modem, 56K.
Yeah.
It was there, and now we have what we have. It feels like I think we live at the best time we could live, and that we can experience the rise of an external intelligence we're just blessed. And I hope that I have a lot of years to follow to observe what is happening.
I think that's good. I want to end on a positive note, but I'll give everyone else the chance to share their 2 cents. Alexandra, you focus heavily on regulation, accountability, auditability. I guess you have to live life with maybe sometimes a slightly negative, or not negative, but more rigorous approach to AI.
I don't like to have that head, by the way, like always be the
Apologies,
one.
yeah. But do you feel positive or optimistic about the future? And yeah, also from the perspective of a young person today.
Yeah. So my own future is definitely bright. I'm 30 and I look like 25. But I understand that young people struggle with the current world and how to design the future. I would love to be on the I love AI and everything will be fine side, but due to my background, I also consulted the Federal Foreign Ministry on how to regulate autonomous weapon systems, and there are many topics that are just too heavy to be just this sunny me that I would love to be. But I'm sure we will get there one day. And if I would be 18, I would study psychology, because you can work with this bachelor or master or whatever you do in both AI and not AI, because we will see that more people need therapy. Actually, the stats are so clear. But at the same, due to AI, by the way, because you see the most requested topic is emotional and social support. And that says a lot about our society, so you could work in that factor. You definitely have a safe job, but at the same time, also what we do with AI is we try to mirror our brain, especially the prefrontal cortex. So you can even, like, you are very interesting also for AI startups or working in the AI industry if you have that background. So you can decide, do you want to be part of that world, or do you help the people who have fallen out of the system?
Guys, I know that you're super optimistic. I feel like I don't need to ask you this question. But I've been trying to look over my shoulder at how much time we've spent speaking, and I realised we could probably speak all night. But we're going to wrap it up there. I want to say a huge thank you, first of all, to all of you for coming, and to our amazing panel tonight. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Dom, for your great
Thank you. This is my first time doing this. The opportunity to ask any questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. Okay, great. We can start here. I'm going to give my mic away and just pass it around.
I was thinking I'm already home.
My name is Lee. Thank you for this truly thought-provoking discussion today. I have a question. So today you were discussing about the human-AI interaction. And my question is, how should we prepare our children? You were mentioning your daughters, 18 years old. I have a daughter, 8 years old. I'm sure you remember how it is. So how should we prepare our children for a world which is changing faster than ever before?
You ask me? So, you know, one of the first... So let me put it like this. I always understood my daughters, and this is not very romantic, but I always understood them as learning systems. Right? They have their sensory input, they learn, they make sense of the world, and then they interact with the world. And they get smarter and smarter and smarter. And one of the first things I thought was when there were these IC's videos of beheadings and porn on the internet and so on, I thought, my God, and they were at the age of 11, I thought, oh my God, how do we deal with this? Because I cannot prevent their visual cortex getting in contact with all that information. I cannot be with them all the time. And even if I would put them an app blocker on their iPhone, there might be an older guy on the schoolyard showing them the videos of ISIS or porn or whatever it is. So I thought, okay, media education needed to start way earlier with them, and they needed to understand what is happening there in order to be desensitized and to understand themselves when there is such a piece of content, how to behave in that moment to self-protect from that. So at a very, very young age. And nowadays, I think the same is true. I think they're on a very good path. They need to develop metacognition skills. The thinking about the thinking, the introspection of their emotional world. Understanding addiction is also very important, because I once talked to an investor about apps for kids, and he said, "Oh, you know what? If you don't want them to become addicted, it's one brainchild against a 14 neuroscientist with a Stanford education on the other side building these apps. And they will build in features that make them addicted." So I think understanding how addiction works is very important already for young brains, because it's the only way so that they can protect themselves from this. And every kind of behavior can become an addiction. And also addiction to intelligence, as I said. But here I would teach them self-control, emotional intelligence, and also then working with the tools on their behalf. But it's important that they work with them, because if they don't, how should they control what is happening to them?
Alexandra, if you can share your thoughts.
I can give you a good contact of an AI Academy for kids if you are personally concerned about that. I must say I have looked into the business model, and it's a problem because the organizations who should support that, like schools, are not digital at all, and I must say it comes back to parents. So please educate your children yourself. It's your responsibility. Yeah.
We have about skills. Because I feel that skills are really important today.
Right.
It's really important to start developing these skills.
Yeah, so there's,
right.
you can Google that, it's called Future Human Skills, and there are 5 core skills that people need to learn to be ready for the AI age, like cognitive dissonance or continuous learning. But for kids, it's, as you said, there was a law in New Zealand that social media should be banned for people under 16, and that has a reason, because potential brain parts are not developed, and it's super important to restrict the use of it, because it is very dangerous for younger brains to use that. So as a parent, you need to have the oversight. You need to keep the control about that.
Thank you.
We had a question at the back here.
Yeah. And before the question, I just want to say I ordered pizza, and that's why I will check my phone sometimes. The Italian guy, Giovanni, today I bring pizza 1930. Unfortunately, I think it didn't arrive yet, but it should arrive in 5 minutes. I ordered a lot of pizza, and then there's also the networking part.
Why didn't you let your agent do that?
Yeah.
and it would bring 1,000 pizzas.
Because I know Alexandra by now.
Good friend. I'll just take this question here in the middle.
Yeah. Thanks for the pizza. My question is about Needle actually. So I wanted to understand how is Needle different from, say, using cron jobs plus like an agent orchestration, where you have some agents doing the same automation by itself. How is it different from a visual builder? And do you think this visual builder is going to be as valuable when things get, you do the same thing on OpenFlow, for example? Is it like...
Yeah, sure. I can take this question. So yeah, like a lot of the things like what you mentioned is like when you hand over to agentic AI, which is nice because it kind of feels like it works, but you also need accountability. You want to set up some structure because you don't always want to give all the freedom to OpenCloud, for example. And because of that, you would like to structure your automation in certain restrictions. And because of that reason, visual builders are still useful today because humans are using it, right? So right now humans are setting up this kind of automations, and because of that we need the visual feedback, we need the structure so that we have a feeling that this is working in the way we like, and we are in control and we are accountable for that. From that perspective, what Needle is doing is not replacing OpenCloud, but it's a variation or a different dimension of an automation. So in that regard, I can say that what we offer is more meant for people rather than agents so far.
Any question here in the middle?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this amazing conversation, and highest respect. You are also smart. And my final question is, what do you think about the future in terms of replacement of people? Capitalism is maybe the end of capitalism, which means the new age of AI. What is next? What is the purpose of life of people? Because in our DNA we need to differentiate ourselves. Otherwise, the system will collapse. So basically, what are your thoughts on this?
Simple question.
I have an AI answer to that. I've built an agent that can analyze life charts, like astrology. Maybe that's a good case for you. Like, build your astrologic chart and use an AI agent to analyze exactly that question.
Like human design, or?
We can talk about that later.
Should I
Yeah.
maybe
So
answer it?
Yeah.
I think no one of us can answer this. I guess the future is neither black nor white, and most likely a lot of jobs will be automated in the future. And if it follows the logic that some people in the Silicon Valley propose, then it will lead to a situation where we will have abundance. So everyone will have a lot because the machines do all the work for us. But those who have already a lot will have even more than they have today. That is one potential future. But what does that mean for our society, for work, for purpose, and so on? I don't know. But you know what? There's a great collection of papers online from Stanford University. It's called Digitalist Papers, and it's led by Erik Brynjolfsson, the author of The Second Machine Age. And he collected together with some world-class thinkers, Nobel Prize winners, a selection, exactly the question that you asked. So if you would look that up, you would find a lot of very interesting thoughts.
Yeah, there's also from research, there's mostly 3 scenarios that they map. And I forgot actually the main research of that, but it's called transformation theory. And then you have 3 routes that the society might go to. And one is like hyper-capitalism, one is the capitalism breaks. And there's a third one that I cannot recall exactly, but there's definitely theory on this.
Great.
Guys, that's all we have time for. If you have any questions, feel free to speak to the panelists as you enjoy your pizza.